Welcome back. I am trying to make a titanium Damascus steel axe with a forge welded high carbon steel Damascus bit diffusion bonded to it. Oh my! It's never been done before, and for good reason, because it's really bloody difficult and incredibly expensive. This started as 420 pounds worth of titanium. In the last episode, we bonded it all together. It's got a very crusty, nasty titanium oxide skin that we've got to get through. We also need to get through the horribly deep cold shuts that forging titanium often leaves behind, because we want to develop an incredibly interesting pattern for our axe, and for that, the titanium needs to be completely clean for our next welding operation. What's awesome about titanium is you can really clearly see the pattern because the grade 2 and the grade 5 cut so differently in the saw. But what's not so cool is how deep these cold shuts look. The cold shut from the face, it's a bloody 1/8 of an inch deep. It's got to be at least 3 millimeters in there. Same thing on this side here. Oh, that means that we are going to have to reduce the thickness of this so much, and that's without considering the amount of material we've already got to take off to get through the cold shuts on the side. That's going to be another 4 millimeters. This was 7 kilos of titanium. Oh my goodness. 2,915 grams? We've lost half of it! More than half of it already!
These inserts are already dull. This is great, super great.
There goes another 60 quid in bandsaw blades. Oh look, what does that look like, Jamie?
Looks a bulk dagger?
Yeah. Ugh. There's one. Oh boy. 2,036 grams. No, Jamie. We lost 900 grams. That was a lot bigger before I spent an entire morning machining on it.
That's what she said.
So we cut off about 50 quid's worth of titanium on the ground and went through 6 inserts. They're a tenner each, so there goes 60 quid. A bandsaw blade, oh my goodness, 170 pounds in just one operation. We've got to make something cool from it in the end. Check this out. How do I, as efficiently as possible, get the most interesting pattern? Remember, every time we manipulate the material, we lose about 1/3 of its mass, we lose a day of time, and that 180 pounds or so. So I need to get this to an interesting pattern as efficiently as possible. Tempted to go, maybe rotate these. So we're gonna have those thick bands flip-flopping, alternating. And we're starting to get very used to this, aren't we? We need a box.
I'm gonna mix things up and do it in the forge instead of the kiln. Feeling confident today, guys. Got a good amount of squishing done. Now we've got to get the box off it.
It is so funny how squishy the grade 2 is. Just oozes out of everything. It's like bloody trying to stick together butter and cottage cheese. Anyway, it's gonna go back in the forge, and we are going to forge it into a different rectangle, make the pattern interesting. We don't have a lot of material spare for this axe. Titanium Damascus is bloody difficult, isn't it? Everything is just trying to rip itself apart. Look at that, Jamie. Big old crack-looking thing here. Looks like it's separating over there. Difficult, bloody materials to make art from. I think it's just because it looks epic. That's why I go through all this suffering. We've currently got it in a very big and chunky rectangular block, right? It is going against all of my instincts to leave it so big, because all my instincts are telling me, oh, forge it way closer to final dimension, then cut some extra off. We can then save that titanium Damascus, this valuable titanium Damascus. We can save it for another project, and therefore save these days and days and days and days of making this titanium. But I know that we are going to have cold shuts and cracks that run deep in this stuff. We're gonna have to grind and machine through it, so I'm gonna leave it as thick as possible. So we need to start thinking about how we forge this axe. First step is punching a hole with a punch. Because this machine is just such a powerful brute. I'm actually not gonna start here. I'm gonna start over here on the smaller Stanko hammer, start tippy-tapping our way in, get the holes lined up on both sides, top and bottom. Usually I'll punch almost all the way down, then flip it over, then punch from the other side. Here, because it's so tall, I'm going to do a little bit from both sides. Punching is the operation that I'm really most concerned for here, well, punching and drifting. making this hole at least, because this is where we are going to stress the material so much. I'm going to leave extra material behind the hole so that it hopefully doesn't split. I want everything going in our favor. Unlike drilling or machining, we are cutting away material. We're going to be forcing the material to the sides with this punch. Get my lube ready. Don't want to get your punch stuck in there. We're just about to punch a tiny little plug out. Yay! There's the plug. Woo! We punched a hole. These bits look scary though. Scary. There's some haunting cracks. Now we've got to get the hole bigger. Ah! Ah! Right, so we've got a big hole in there, but it is not the right profile. It needs to have a taper to it. And we're going to achieve that in two ways. One, by tapering the actual material down up here, which will crush it. But two, by having a better axe eye drift. This cross section is really suitable for a hammer, in this case a big hammer, but an axe eye is pointy. It's not symmetrical, it's pointy. So, find ourselves some material. Bloomin' top tie came loose, almost fell off. Got a really different cross section, and so we've got to squish that eye down and begin forging a taper to the blade area. So the eye opened up, now we've got to taper the blade some more, get it wider. I'm going for a kind of a felling axe aesthetic, pretty traditional looking thing. Get this blade wider. It's not moving quite like I'd like. Not an easy material. Well, here's a great idea, Alec. Why don't you try and make an axe out of titanium Damascus? This will be super fun. And then it'll just be splitting apart while you work it, which is making the world's ugliest axe. That concludes the rough forging, and that is capital R, rough forging of our titanium axe. Everything is thick as can be. Now we've got a lot of machining and grinding to do on it, which means I want this thing soft. I want it softer than Jamie's bum.
Wait, how did you know I've got a soft bum?
Well, it's an expression. Softer than a Jamie's bum. That's going to take a very long time to begin. We're going to let that cool down in the forge. And that means that I've got a little bit of time to fix something. You smell that, Jamie?
No. What is it?
Well, I just farted. But aside from that, I want to do something about the welding fumes. When you're welding, it makes smoke. The smoke isn't good for you. When I do a bunch of welding, I go ahead and put on a powered air purifying respirator that's connected to a welding hood. But when I'm just doing a little tack here or there, I'm lazy. I put on a regular hood. And I think that's really silly, and I want to fix that. And so what I went ahead and did is I ordered a whole bunch of parts in order that we can have a little bit of fume extraction here at the welding table. Oh my goodness, that looked a lot bigger in the picture.
That's what she said.
You see, one of the best workshop improvements that I have made in the last year has been the installation of our extractor. This thing, it's phenomenal. You'd kind of hope that there'd be just an enormous pile of dust, wouldn't you, Jamie? That feels a bit anticlimactic for like, you know, a good, oh boy, 5 months of use. I would kind of expect more dust. The only thing that I wish for it to be like 4 times the size, it's doing the job, but I certainly wouldn't turn down a bigger one if the opportunity arose.
That's what she said.
Now, when we put it in, I went ahead and put some ductwork all the way over to the surface grinder, and I was thinking to myself, goodness, I could buy a new welding extractor like we had in the Montana workshop, or I could use our existing extraction. So, the plan is, we tee off of that, come up onto this pole right up here, mount that, boom. Need this.
It's actually got some pretty decent suck.
Imagine that was a welding fume. Whoa! That is pretty epic. Ow, that's my hand. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh! No extraction. Extraction. It does something, right?
Now I've got a pet peeve here. People that utilize the word forge to just mean something cool and tough. They're like, I have this program that's gonna make you tough. It's called the Forge. And then we're going to forge you. And then your business needs to be forged. This is a verb that involves the use of a hammer and an anvil. People aren't forged. Sometimes language is a beautiful thing, and it expands and it incorporates more things and it evolves, but I think this is a devolution of language. Let's keep forging to forging, folks. How about that? So if you would like to disagree with the overuse of the word forge to mean things that has nothing to do with metalworking, check out this little page we made on our Squarespace website. They're sponsoring this video, and it's an incredibly powerful platform, especially when it is that you want to forge a business, because you're going to need to sell things and talk to your customers. You might even need to forge a marketing campaign and send your customers beautifully hand-forged emails. If you're an educator, you can schedule classes with Squarespace scheduling so that you can help forge your students into better practitioners of their craft. With the use of Squarespace member areas, you can forge a community of like-minded people and drive revenue through that paywall access content. And of course, if you go to squarespace.com/forge, you're going to get a 2-week free trial, and then code FORGE at checkout gets you 10% off all your purchases and helps them know that we sent you. Thank you so much. Please check them out. Let's get back to it.
2 hours of letting the piece cool down and milling the flats later.
These two sides are relatively close to parallel. Definitely not perfect, but it's grippable, that's for sure. Now, what it has done is shown us that our hole is on the piss. That's an English term for caddywampus. If I line up a ruler in line with the eye, it doesn't line up with the rest of the blade. So we gotta do something about that. I'm wondering if it's gonna be necessary for me to put this back in the forge, because that is bad here at the tip. That is, if I was to take off all this material off this side here to actually machine it straight, we're gonna end up with an edge that's way too thin. I don't want a thin edge. I want a thick, meaty one, because we're going to need to install and bond some steel in there. It needs to be thick and meaty before the steel can go in.
Wow. You know what, Jamie? It looked like I was kind of fixing it on that side, but then I just looked at the other side, and it looks about 10 times worse. Thank goodness my leg vise is really nicely secured to the ground for maximum efficiency. Not looking incredible, you know? A little bit more aggressive with how we straighten this thing. Wow, that worked really well. No, wait, why does that look worse? It looks better on this side, but it looks about 10 times worse on that side. Ah! Better.
This side's much better. This side is okay.
I think that might be as close as I can get it.
Time to let it cool down again. Is it in the middle now? Closer. It's closer. Better than it was. And now, back to do the exact same thing that we did this morning. We're gonna slice off the butt because we got too much. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Why is that hard to line up?
Ah! What a brilliant idea. Make a titanium Damascus axe. It's gonna be nice, simple, easy, economically reasonable to do. It's gonna be a financially good decision. These inserts are dull. I need to change these inserts. There goes another $100. What do I want to spend £100 on? I don't know. Nice steak dinner with my wife? Maybe some new climbing gear? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a new tool. Only saving grace is that these inserts are very adorable.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is the sound of money. The inserts are already dull. Hey!
this is so slow. Now you will see that we have machined our actual kind of edge material into the middle in line with the eye. It leaves a ton of extra material here, a little bit less extra material there, but all this stuff has all those cold shuts from the forging. And I want all of that gone, and so we've got to set this up in the mill at the right angle, scribe down it, hack it all off, so that hopefully we don't have any of this crap right there. I want clean material. But a consideration I have is when it comes to putting our slot in here for the steel, Damascus steel cutting edge, the more material I take off the side, the more wiggling around that is going to do. But if I do that first, all this is then going to wiggle around a whole lot while I take the material off the sides. So I don't think there's a perfect solution. There's just giving it a good old shot. Scribe her up, try and mill these angles. This is the cold shut I'm trying to grind through, and it is so ugly and stubborn. All right, now I can cut a radius. Ah, we're still not there. The bloomin' thing is still there. I think we've done it, folks. At last, I got through it. It's just now, we lost a lot of material, but we're gonna copy this onto the other side. Ta-da! Rather axe-like, don't you say, Jamie?
Slowly getting there.
Very, 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 very slowly. And
I feel like we've been working on this for about 3 weeks.
It really does feel like that, which is super good for business. As you know, the longer it takes to make something, the
more rewarding it feels.
Yeah. And of course, the edge is very dull and it's not made of steel. We need to change that. So, going back to our examples of some traditional methods for how high carbon steel bits are installed onto wrought iron body axes back in the day. We got the wrap around, we got the chisel in, we got the other wrap around. My plan is to do a modification of this bad boy right here, but instead of chiseling a groove, thank goodness I'm great at drawing.
What on earth is that?
Okay, I'm going to machine a groove. So it's going to have a square bottom, bish bash bosh. The kind of thing that's working against us, however, is we get to clamp it way down here. We've got to do our machining way up there. And I'm planning to use these bad boys. 6mm long carbide end mill.
It's got to be longer than 6 mil.
6mm diameter. The downside to that is when it's extra long, it's extra wobbly. But we're going to use that to cut the slot. I have to retram the mill because I nodded it.
Do you remember that time you said it took 5 minutes to retram?
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it in 5 minutes.
Oh, I like a challenge. I like a challenge. Here we go.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Oh, my stopwatch reset itself. But anyway, it's done. It's trimmed. Ah! I don't know how deep I can go on this without risking breaking it. This is only 2mm deep. We were doing so well. Now we are not doing well. We've got our slot made, and it now needs steel. Now, as I said, I want Damascus steel in this, because I want to weld Damascus titanium to Damascus steel. But what Damascus steel will we use? We have, in our reserves, something that I think would be just awesome. What do you think, Jamie?
Well, you're not going to be able to scan it anymore, that's for sure.
No, you definitely won't be able to scan it. But I think one of the coolest patterns that we've got is, well, apart from the obvious one, is QR code Damascus. And so, I'm going to take a slice off of this, cut off the mild steel jacket that surrounds it, forge it into a rectangle, stick it in there, and hopefully find out if it stays. But that's all we've got time for today. So please go build yourself an awesome website at squarespace.com/forge. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.